do you see common triggers with people that you work with that anybody for whatever reason might be able to pay attention to in the future and just go, "Ooh, maybe that is me." Kind of the way I did about a month or two ago.
Yeah, well, I mean, the big obvious, trigger or cue is like environment and friends, right? I've never really been kind of, in the cool crowd, I guess. Wasn't me in school, and we've always done, having a lot of kids and sort of living the farming lifestyle for a long, long time. And, there was a period of my life where I was even like people in our area confused us as being an Amish family, like, which was always comical to us if you really knew, like we knew Amish, we did business with them in some seasons, but, uh, so the alcohol really put me in this, category of what I thought it meant to be a man and to be cool, right? And so my over the period of time, especially when I stopped traveling for work, stopped doing the contract work, and we just were able to rely on our business. I I got into some friend groups that was just strictly revolved around drinking, you know, kind of nonsense talk, just typical guy, just bantering, whatever, just which is not me at all. I could only do it when I was drinking. And I mean, I could probably do it now, but like, why? Like talking about nothing is just not, yeah, in that moment, in that season, it felt like, in fact, these are the conversations that I would have with my wife because she was always talking about business and growing things and the kids' futures and our future and all this stuff. And I'm like, I just want to talk about nothing. I would say that quite a bit. I didn't know what that meant, but I didn't want to have to think. And so it was easy to be in that environment with certain friend groups. And so friends were a big trigger for me. And that kind of just worked itself out. I didn't go announce. I mean, people knew that I wasn't drinking, my friends, because I wasn't drinking. Like it was obvious, especially at the volume I was doing it, to go from that to nothing. Uh, and so that kind of just worked itself out, and I don't really have that trigger anymore. But the other triggers for me, I don't really know what specific. I think just time of day was a big trigger. So, the common theme that I see with other men is probably there's this assumption that whenever we're stressed, that somehow alcohol relieves us of that stress. And there's a moment, there's a period of time depending on your level of drinking where that could very well be true, seemingly, but there's so many other negatives that compound, right? Especially over years of drinking, that you end up it ends up being counterproductive. And so my big question now is like, so maybe you don't have a problem, but what is the value? Like, is it bringing you any value at all? Is there any positives to it? I kind of talk about my my drink of choice now when I have a drink is a Dr. Pepper. And it, ironically, sodas, high fructose corn syrup, things like that were one of my biggest argument against like the church when before I drank. I was like, why do they harp on alcohol? But yeah, there's all these people with diabetes and all this. And I was really big. And actually, you mentioned Sicily. I actually spent some time there. And one of the things I noticed when I came back was people were like seemingly healthy. And I was like, what's going on here? And I came back, this was 15 years ago or more. And one of my buddies was like, one of my buddies from Australia, he's like, they don't deal with the same packaged stuff and high fructose corn syrup. Like it's daily trips to the market, and things like that. So I would harp on this, why don't we talk about sodas and diet and stuff? And anyway, it's just I think, we all we have this assumption that this drug of choice, which is what it is actually helping us, and we use it in stressful situations. And the triggers are, yeah, environment, like, what do you do when you first walk in the door? And so something very specific that I did was my average normal drinking time, although it would be earlier on the weekends, was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I was very deliberately made that my workout time, which I prefer to work out in the afternoon anyway. So that was my like direct one for one swap. And I've just continued that. It's just convenient for my day. It kind of it's a little break in the monotony of my day sometimes. So um, I think those are the biggest triggers that I've noticed: friends and environment.
Hmm. It's funny how over time, friends maybe sometimes it's a drifting, right? That you kind of it doesn't have to be a catastrophe, a calamity. It doesn't have to be a crazy falling out, but you just kind of notice, like, oh, I don't really see that person around anymore. It must have been the glue that gelled us together, right? What's going on, guys? If you like that clip right there, you will love the full interview. You can check that out right there. I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and subscribe, because we got a lot of big things coming up in the near future.